Hello and welcome. About 10 months ago I made this video of how to unload Isoveyors in theory, but I always wanted to do a more practical demonstration, so I finally took my camera in, hid it in the shadows. This is how to unload Isoveyors, practical demonstration. So this is us here, just grabbing the discharge pipe now and taking off the end cap from the container. Sometimes it can be a bit stiff. I'm just giving it a test knock there and confirming, yes, it's far too stiff. So I'm going to nick the one off of discharge silo 3, I think it is. So that's all now ready to go. Grab the pipe, chuck it over your shoulder, put the rubber seal back in, that holds all the pressure inside between the two joins, put that over the end, and even this good clamp is a bit stiff on occasion. In which case, we'll grab the big pole, stick that on the clamp, and then just use your leg to help you close it. Needs to be a tight fit because it's got to hold 2 bar of pressure. Next pipe, the compressor line, a bit thinner this one because it doesn't have to handle any product, it's just basic raw air, comes straight out of the compressor, clamps on nice and easy, stick the 2 teeth in, twist it round, nice job, easy. That's us all ready to go. Set up the tank, so make sure all the discharge pipes are shut. Open up the aeration valves, open up the top air valve, shut the vent valve, make sure the boost valve is also shut. Follow the compressed air line round and fire up the nice air compressor to start filling up the tank. So there it goes, and once the magnet turns on it will shut the safety valve off. There it goes, and now a ton of air is being shoved into this tank, ready to pressurise it. Turn the volume down because that noise is going to get a bit annoying after a while. But it's a simple case of checking the pressures on both the gauges and then standing back just to see if the top hatches that are leaking. There's 3 top hatches and sometimes they can leak. Just checking an eye on the pressures again, make sure it is climbing. It's a big old tank. But that compressor shoves in a lot of air. It only takes about 5 minutes to fill it up to about 1.5 bar. Another check, must be getting close now. The back pressure in the system starting to show because the air's leaking out of the join in the pipe. So I'm just trying to get it into a better position so it's not making so much noise. Although it isn't critical really, the air compressor supplies more than enough air. One final check. Are we getting towards 1.5 bar? Yeah, we're about there now, so close the aeration valves on aeration bed 3, close the valves on aeration bed 1, so it's just the middle one now, aeration 2, open up the boost valve just a little bit, that supplies raw air from the compressor line straight into the discharge line, which aids all the product to go up. So opening up the discharge valve there, you open it slowly at first, just to allow the pressure to equalise, because otherwise too much product goes up the line and it all blocks and jams. And then once the pressure equalises, you fully open up the valve and you can see it jumping around there and jiggling around. And then I've come over just to test the pipe, so you can gain a lot of information just by holding the pipe, like is the product flowing, is it jammed, how fast is it flowing, anything banging its way down the pipe that shouldn't be, because you can get debris in these tanks occasionally. So I spend most of my time in this position just holding on to the pipe, making sure it is moving, and then occasionally walking back up and down just to check the pressures. That there, you can hear going off, that's the overpressure valve, so the tank's reached 2 bar of pressure now. Just confirming that it has reached 2 bar of pressure by checking the gauges, and I'm just opening up the vent valve slightly to vent some of the excess. You don't have to as such, but it kind of looks more professional because you're managing your pressure manually rather than relying on safety systems to do it. And after a little while of venting, it should shut off again. You do have to be a little bit more careful when you're venting air, because it means that you've got air going to places that isn't into the tank or into the boost valve, so that can cause the powder to hiccup and stutter as it comes down the line, and that can cause a blockage sometimes. But there we go, we've dropped pressure, so the valve is shut again. All the product will be nicely flowing down the pipe smoothly again. So you can see there the pipe is jumping around quite a lot. That's usually a good sign that the middle section of the tank is starting to run low on powder, because during that phase, powder from the front and the back of the trailer will have been collapsing into the middle, so it doesn't just run out point blank, it sort of stutters and starts. And the pressure does slowly drop inside the tank, which it has done. So I've closed the discharge valve, opened up aeration bed 3 at the back of the tank, closed aeration bed 2, and now I'm just opening up the discharge valve for tank number 3. So again, you do it slowly, just allow the pressure to equalise, and then fully open the valve, and it should all settle down and start flowing nicely. So once again, feeling the pipe and checking the pressures, making sure the pressure's climbing back up again, and checking that the pipe hasn't blocked and that it is flowing. For some reason, I'm not sure why, but the powder at the back of this tank, I can only assume that it was damp or something, but it was being really sluggish and slow to come out. And it was taking way longer than it normally does. Like, you could feel the pipe and you could just feel that the powder was not flowing as fast as it should be. It sometimes happens, but usually it does flow quite nicely. You can see there it's not happy, it's not being very smooth as it's coming out the pipe, and it's jumping around very occasionally. And within a couple of minutes the overpressure valve is blown off again, which again doesn't normally happen, but the product is coming out the pipe so slow that the air pressure is just built up way quicker than it normally does, and there's nothing that I can do to try and relieve the pressure, so I kind of give up venting the air, so I just can't do it fast enough. So that's my I'm getting bored pose, because it's taking so long on this particular part of the tank. Because there's no powder collapsing into this section, a very distinct whoosh sound begins. There you go, you can hear it. So that means all the powder's run out and just raw air is coming out of the tank, and the pressure rapidly begins to drop. So shut discharge valve 3, open up the aeration bed number 1 at the front of the tank, close aeration bed 3, and then start discharging from compartment 1 at the front. Again, open up the tank just a little bit, allow the pressure to equalise, and then open it fully. And you can see the pipe is jumping around a lot more vigorously now because the powder is flowing a lot better. This is flowing better, as it should be. Because it's flowing nice and fast, the overpressure valve doesn't blow off on this one. Checking the pressures once again. Yeah, I do like this job and I hate it at the same time. I hate it because it's really dirty and muddy and messy, but I love it because it's just so unique and different to anything I normally do. And you're hearing the whoosh again there. So compartment 1's empty, close the valve, open up aeration bed number 2, close aeration bed number 1, because whilst you've unloaded the back and the front compartment, some more of the powder have jumped into the middle section, so just a little bit more to do from the middle compartment. Just hanging on for a moment to allow some of the air pressure to build up in the tank. So if the pressure is too low and you open up the valve, the pipe can block. Pressure's built up, I'm happy with it, and we open up the valve again. So just discharging the last little bit in the middle compartment, and it'll only take a moment or two. Making sure that it is flowing down the pipe. And once again, you'll soon hear the whoosh of air. And there it goes. Check the pressure, just make sure it is dropping. Yep. Close number 2. Open up all the valves for the aeration beds now. Get as much air into the tank as possible whilst we do the final checks. Just make sure it is as empty as possible. Check number 3. And you just hear there's nothing but air going down, so that's fine. That's empty. Compartment 1 at the front. Yep. I just hear air going down there, that's fine. Compartment 2, just check that once again. Nothing but air. And just for double check, we'll do compartment 3 again. Yep. Nothing but air. So now we shut all the valves down for aeration beds. That's number 2 being shut. Shut the top air down. Open up the vent valve. Shut aeration bed 1. Open up the boost valve fully, and then go and turn off the compressor. Yeah, you have to vent the tank. You're not allowed to travel with it under pressure, because obviously if you have a crash and the truck rolls over and you rupture the tank, it's going to act like a bit of a bomb. Final thing left to do, check the line pressure. There's a bit of pressure in this valve because the valve's dodgy, the non-return valve isn't working. So air's coming back through the system, so just be careful when you're removing that so it doesn't blow back off in your face. Checking all the valves, trying to find which one's leaking. Yeah, it shouldn't be doing that, but occasionally you do get one that leaks. This particular tank is also unusual in that not only is the inlet leaking, but also the discharge line is leaking as well. Normally it's one or the other occasionally, but most of the time neither of them are doing it. There we go, we found the one that's leaking. Now we can put the end cap on, just double check the valves again. And now we can remove the discharge pipe. Take the clamp off. Now you can hear the air's leaking out of that one as well when it shouldn't be. There's the seal, check for debris, nope, it's all clear, put the seal back. Put the end cap on to make sure it stays clean and tidy, and then put the clamp back on. And now remove the other end. Bit too stiff, we'll get the pole again. What I like about this job is that warehouse you can see over to the left side of the screen. That warehouse belongs to the very first company I ever worked for, doing the carpet multi-drops. So I've gone just over the other side of the fence all these years down the line. So there's that end of the pipe off. Put the pipes away nice and tidy. Grab the compressor line, put that one away. If it's cold, you hold on to that and you warm your hands up because the compressed air heats everything up. Put that clamp back that I borrowed off one of the other discharge pipes. Grab my super stiff one. And then struggle to put it back on again against the air pressure. Using the other clamp to hammer it back on. We'll get there eventually. Once it's all done, head on back, change it for another tank, and do it all over again. Well, there you go, that's how you unload Isoveyors. That took about 50 minutes in total. Normally about 40-45 is fairly typical, but that's how you unload Isoveyors, and I will leave you with this speed run of the whole thing, and you can see the truck rising up as it unloads. So until next time, see you then.